This week we will be talking about multiplication. Just as a quick overview, a good practice for when you're multiplying is that you round beforehand so that way you can go back and kind of check to see if your answer makes sense. So these are two of the problems that you are going to see later on in this video being used. What I'm going to do very quickly is show you how you might round each of these numbers in order to see whether they are, or whether your answer once you do multiply actually makes sense. So we have two-digit numbers here. We have 42 and we have 24. I'm going to round both of those to the nearest 10. So, for example, I am going to round 42. Is it closer to 40 or 50? So 42 is closer to 40. And then I have 24. Is 24 closer to 20 or 30? It is closer to 20. And now I'm going to use this to multiply first. So I know that 4 times 2 is 8, and then I have to just bring those two zeros down. So that means that the answer to this problem is going to be close to 800. It's not going to be 800 exactly, but it is going to be close to 800. And as long as our answer is close to 800, it makes sense. All right? You can check this answer later in the video to see if it does make sense, to see if our actual answer does make sense to our estimation. The next one that we have is 32 times 29, and we're going to be using the partial products method with this one. So again, I'm going to round this one. I have 32. Is it closer to 30 or 40? So this one would be closer to 30. And then I have 29. Is 29 closer to 20 or closer to 30? So 29 is closer to 30. So again, same thing. I have 3 times 3. I know that that is 9. I have to add those two zeros down here. So therefore, that means that the answer to this problem, 32 times 29, is going to be close to 900. It's not going to be 900 on the dot, but it is going to be close to it. So you can check that answer as well later in the video to see if it is close to our estimation. So we are going to start today with box method. I think overall that's kind of what everybody's familiar with coming from 4th grade. So we're going to go ahead and start there with the problem 38 times 4. So as I'm looking at 38 times 4, I know I have to break up my numbers based on expanded form. So when I talk about the number 38, I have to pull it apart and write it in expanded form. So that would be 30 plus 8. I have to do that because of place value. So my 3 is in the tens place, that gives me the value of 30. My 8 is in the ones place, that gives me the value of just 8. And that's how I have to draw my box based off of that. So for this one, I'm only going to need 2 boxes. I can put my 30 plus 8 up here, and then my 4 over here. So now I have my first thing that I need to multiply, which is 30 times 4. So anytime I go to multiply a number that has a 0 at the end of it, what I focus on is what this number, so the 3 times 4 is. And I know that 3 times 4 is 12. And then all I have to do is bring that 0 down, so I get 120. Then I have 4 times 8, and I know that 4 times 8 is 32. So now I have these two numbers, 120 and 32, and I have to add those together. So I'm going to write them over here on the side, 120 plus 32. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. 1 plus nothing is 152. Okay? Now, I can do another one. This time I'm going to use a 2-digit by 2-digit number so we can see what that looks like. So I'm going to use 42 times 24. All right? This time I have to have 4 boxes. So I'm going to draw my boxes like this. Again, I have to separate it out by place value. So I've got to split apart 42. So 40 plus 2. And then I've got to split apart 24. So 20 plus 4. And we're again going to be multiplying these things. So I'm going to start up at the top with 20 times 40. Well, I know that 4 times 2 is 8. And I have a 0 right here and a 0 right here. So that gives me 800. Then I have 20 times 2. Well, I know that 2 times 2 is 4, and I have that 0, so I get 40. Then I have 4 times 40. Well, I know that 4 times 4 is 16, and I have to add that 0, so that gives me 160. Last but not least, I have 4 times 2, and I know that that is 8. This time, I have 4 numbers that I need to add up, and I'm only going to add up 2 at a time. I tell my class, addition and subtraction can be easy, but also be frustrating because you can make silly mistakes when you're adding. So I'm going to line up and do 800 plus 40 first, and I know that's 0, 4, 8, and then I'm going to add 160. And I've got 0, 4 plus 6, I know is 10. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus another one is 10, plus my 8. So now I've got 1,000 plus 8. Well, I know that 1,000 plus 8 equals 1,008 as my answer. The next strategy for multiplication that we are going to talk about is the use of partial products. So I am going to start with the equation 23 times 4. And when we solve using partial products, again, we have to pull numbers apart using that standard algorithm. So I would have to do 3 times 4, which I know is 12, and then because this 2 has a value of 20, I would have to do 20 times 4. And 20 times 4 is 80. So from here, I would have to add that up and do 12 plus 80. So when I go to add that, I have 92 there as my answer. We can also do partial products of 2-digit by 2-digit numbers, just like we did the box method. So I'm going to do that with the number 32 times 29. I'm going to start with my ones place again. So I would have 9 times 2 here, and I know that 9 times 2 is 18. Then I would need to go 9 times the value of that 3 right there. It's in the tens place, so the value of that 3 is 30. So 30 times 9. Well, I know 9 times 3 is 27. I have to add that 0, so I have 270. I have done 9 to 2, 9 times 30. I've got to move on to my 2 right here, but that 2 also has a value of 20 because it's in the tens place. So we have to do 20 times 2, which is 40. And last but not least, we have to do both of our values that are in the tens place. 20 times 30. So 20 times 30, 2 times 3 I know is 6. I have those 2 zeros I have to add, so that would be 600. We add them up. 8 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 8. We have 1 plus 7, which is 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. 0, so we have 2. Put our 1 up here. I have 1 plus 2, which is 3. 3 plus 6, which is 9. So for my final answer here, I have 928. Remember, it's all about which strategy fits you best. And again, some of you guys may already use standard algorithm, and you may want to continue to use that, which is fine. These are just 2 of the strategies that we will be talking about in class this week in order to use to multiply.